So Borderlands 3 came out back in September 13th, 2019, and it was generally received positively. It did have some technical issues at launch. The story and characters aren't quite as good as Borderlands 2, but people generally find it a fun game to play, and it sold extremely well. In fact, in a statement from Take-Two, they noted how Borderlands 3 establishes the franchise as a billion-dollar global brand, and apparently it did the best in the series, performed better than Borderlands 2, and they touted all kinds of records in this statement. So a lot of developers of Borderlands 3 expected big bonuses based off of this due to how Gearbox, the developer of Borderlands, operates with its profit-sharing type of payment system, which I'll get to in a bit. But apparently, CEO Randy Pitchford, who's been known for pretty shady behavior in the past, has recently told his developers that they're not getting the bonuses they expected. The following information was reported by Jason Schreier, who spoke to a number of sources who corroborated this information. The headline reads, "Sources, despite huge sales, Borderlands 3 developers are getting stiffed on bonuses." The opening paragraph begins by talking about the success of Borderlands 3 and how well it sold and how developers expected to get big bonuses, which is, quote, "What was shocking to employees at Gearbox, the developer of the game, when the studio CEO Randy Pitchford told them yesterday that they would not receive the significant royalty bonuses they expected. Employees at the studio will get small bonus checks, but nothing close to the tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands that many had expected." And this is based on conversations with 6 people close to Gearbox. And then Kotaku's article added, "Some said it was crushing news that has upended their financial plans for the future." It goes without saying that when somebody's promised a bonus, a certain level of financial infusion, then there will be plans for the future made surrounding that. But then you've got a CEO like Randy Pitchford who just pulls the rug from under those employees and developers, and all of a sudden those plans go to hell. And that's going to certainly put financial strains on those individuals. The article then proceeds to explain what's called profit sharing. Due to the fact that Texas generally pays employees lower than average salaries, particularly in the video games industry, the way Gearbox does it is that, quote, "Royalties from all of the developers' games are split 60-40, with 60 going back into the company and its owners, while 40 is distributed to employees in the form of quarterly bonuses," which is why when Borderlands 2 massively succeeded, some workers apparently made enough money to buy a house. They just got these huge bonuses. But then after Borderlands 2, due to flops like Aliens Colonial Marines and Battleborn, the developers just haven't been getting as many bonuses or as big of bonuses as they have been in the past. But then with Borderlands 3 coming into play, you know, they were promised a certain level of bonus, a certain level of extra cash infusion that they suddenly didn't get. As a matter of fact, employees told Kotaku that, quote, "Company management promised them 6-figure bonuses following the launch of Borderlands 3. The more years they'd been with the company, the larger the check. This vision of financial success helped Gearbox's developers get through many long nights and weekends working on the game." So this was used as a carrot to motivate developers to really make this game the best it can be, to work their asses off, only to find out now that all of their efforts didn't amount to what they expected. Out of the blue, without much warning, in a meeting yesterday, Gearbox boss Randy Pitchford told employees that Borderlands 3 bonus checks would be significantly lower than they had hoped. And apparently this has a large part to do with the game being more expensive to make than expected. Apparently the company had grown significantly larger than it had been in the past, that now operates a second studio in Quebec, Canada, and that their sales projections had been off base. So it highlights right here how the game costs too much to make, especially given that it shifted ported engines from Unreal 3 to Unreal 4 midway through development. And then it reads right here, before Gearbox could receive any royalties from publisher 2K, Borderlands 3 would have to recoup not just the game's entire budget, around $95 million, but also the budget for all of the downloadable content for a sum closer to $140 million, thanks to a contract that the two companies had signed. So basically, Randy Pitchford and higher-ups either miscalculated or they knew going into this that bonuses wouldn't be as big, but didn't tell developers until the very last minute, until yesterday. Regardless of what the actual scenario is, we're talking about mismanagement, promises that went unfulfilled, and developers who were screwed out of their bonuses. It's pretty messed up to lead your employees to believe that they have a certain level of financial safety net, only to upend all of that and screw them out of those bonuses that informed certain life decisions they might have made. As for what Randy Pitchford told employees who weren't happy with this situation, apparently he just said that they were welcome to quit. According to those who were in the meeting, he basically said, if you don't like what we offer, get out. Now, Randy Pitchford did dangle another carrot. According to Jason Schreier, he did say that he hoped to get more money to employees as an advance from 2K on future royalties. But given the recent broken promises, I wouldn't be surprised if developers don't feel particularly confident that Randy Pitchford will live up to his word about potentially getting more money as an advance from 2K on future royalties. This just seems like another promise waiting to be broken, or at the very least, I wouldn't be surprised if developers perceived this in such a way. Now, when Gearbox was reached out for a statement on the situation, here's what they said. Borderlands 3 represents an incredible value to gamers and an incredible achievement by the team at Gearbox Software. Our studio is talent-led, and we believe strongly in everyone sharing in profitability. The talent at Gearbox enjoys participation in the upside of our games, to our knowledge, the most generous royalty bonus system in AAA. Since this program began, Gearbox talent has earned over $100 million in royalty bonuses above and beyond traditional compensation. In the most recent pay period, Gearbox talent enjoyed news that Borderlands 3, having earned revenue exceeding the largest investment ever made by the company into a single video game, had officially become a profitable video game, and the talent at Gearbox that participates in the royalty bonus system has now earned their first royalty bonus on that profit. Additionally, a forecast update was given to the talent at Gearbox that participates in the royalty bonus to set expectations for the coming quarters. Gearbox is a private company that does not issue forward-looking statements to the public, but we do practice transparency with our own family. Really, because 6 of your employees went out of their way to speak to a news outlet about the lack of transparency on promise bonuses. Generally speaking, this statement says a whole lot of nothing. It doesn't really address the information that the 6 people close to Gearbox conveyed to Kotaku about being promised a certain level of bonus, but CEO Randy Pitchford sort of breaking the news that Gearbox would be vastly under-delivering on that front. They don't talk about whether any of that is true. All this statement really does is pat Gearbox on the back, tout about how great their profit-sharing system is, and vaguely hint at a forecast update when it comes to royalty bonus expectations, which might vaguely hint that what Kotaku is conveying in this article is true. The result of all of this is that certain employees are upset. Some employees expect an exodus in the near future, and it was emphasized once again that those who made financial plans based on the expectations set by the company's management may now find themselves in tough spots. And this is all particularly egregious when you consider that Randy Pitchford took a $12 million bonus in 2016 when the development for Borderlands 3 had started. And this was something that was alleged in a lawsuit, but apparently 2 of the people that Kotaku spoke with corroborated this, saying that the bonus did exist, but it came out of the company's 60%, not the 40% of profits that were meant to go to employees. So that's the bonus he got prior to the release of Borderlands 3. I'm wondering what sort of bonus he'll get now that Borderlands 3 has launched and sold really well. It's honestly not hard to imagine a scenario in which Randy Pitchford and certain higher-ups make a boatload of money, make a boatload from royalties, while all of these other developers who are given certain promises, get screwed out of their bonus and only get a much smaller percentage of what they had anticipated. So this all sounds pretty shady, doesn't it? And this isn't the first time that Randy Pitchford has been accused of shady behavior. So here's the article from back in January 2019 detailing the lawsuit from former Gearbox lawyer who accused CEO Randy Pitchford of taking secret $12 million bonus. The basic summary of this lawsuit is that it, quote, alleges that Pitchford struck a deal in 2016 to receive a personal, secretive, executive bonus of $12 million to be paid directly to Pitchford entity called Pitchford Entertainment Media Magic LLC. That bonus, Calendar and his lawyers argue, is an advance upon royalties that would otherwise go to Gearbox's staff. And then Calendar also alleged that Pitchford had this USB on top of sensitive corporate documents involving Gearbox and partners like 2K Games, Sega, Sony, Microsoft, and others. It also had inappropriate videos with underage women in it. That's the allegation. We also learned that Randy Pitchford flat out admitted the existence of these inappropriate videos in the USB flash drive. Ars Technica apparently tracked down a Magic podcast in which Pitchford said this, in which he talked in detail about the inappropriate videos and said things like, and it was barely legal and stuff like that. That certainly raises eyebrows. And in the lawsuit, Calendar accused Pitchford of holding parties in which, quote, adult men have reportedly exposed themselves to minors to the amusement of Randy Pitchford. Now, these are all still accusations and should be treated as such, but optics are not on Randy Pitchford's side, given his shady history and some of the things he's admitted to. Randy Pitchford was also accused for shady behavior by David Eddings, who back in May 2019 tweeted, "For the first time I insisted on getting paid for my performance as Claptrap, and all of a sudden they couldn't afford me. Now I'm not telling them how to run their business, but maybe next time they should put the $12 million payment from 2K in the Gearbox bank account instead." Just saying. David Eddings, being a former Gearbox employee and the former voice actor for Claptrap, there is some history between him and Randy Pitchford. After that tweet, Randy Pitchford responded to an inquiry with, "The issue today is that Mr. Eddings is bitter and disgruntled about having been terminated. He was offered 2x scale. He refused. I don't want him to do it unless he wants to do it, as motivation affects performance." After he tweeted that, David Eddings accused Randy Pitchford of physically assaulting him in the lobby of the Marriott Marquis at GDC 2017. David Eddings alleges that he told Randy he'd reprise the role if he got paid the royalties that he was past owed, and was offered an apology for this GDC 2017 incident. And then more information about this was reported by news outlet Newsweek with an article whose headline reads, "Borderlands voice actor says Gearbox CEO is a bully who harassed, shoved, and humiliated him." And there's even receipts here with Eddings providing screenshots of text messages in which you can see Randy Pitchford using pretty derogatory terms and pretty angrily texting back. Randy Pitchford's shady behavior can also be traced to as far back as 2013 when Aliens Colonial Marines released, and that whole situation played out when people learned that the final game didn't look anywhere close to the level of fidelity shown in the demos of Colonial Marines, in the footage, in the trailers, in the marketing material. And there were whistleblowers claiming that Gearbox stole money from Sega, essentially took money given for Alien Colonial Marines and used that to develop games like Borderlands. Gearbox also faced lawsuits for falsely marketing the game, and that went on for a couple years. And then when asked about Alien Colonial Marines during an interview with IGN, he provided all kinds of excuses, and this just goes on and on. Randy Pitchford has a consistent history of twisting the truth and engaging in shady, inappropriate behavior. And now Randy Pitchford screwing his employees and developers out of promised sizable bonuses following the successful release of Borderlands 3 and following great sales for that game seems to be the latest chapter in a repeated pattern of shady behavior and a shady way of handling his company. and treating his employees. It'll be interesting to see how this story continues to develop, whether we'll get more information on this, and if that does happen, I'll be sure to let you guys know. In the meantime, though, let me know in the comments below what your thoughts and opinions are on what Jason Schreier's sources have conveyed to him about what's going on at Gearbox right now in regards to bonuses and broken promises on that front. Drop a comment below, and to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.